Good day, everyone, especially to you, Mr. Roger Anthony Gamali. Good day, sir. Today, first let me introduce myself. I am Annalini Aligsao, B Scream 3 from Section D. So, my topic for today, or my report for today, is all about the Soco. So, the Soco is the last topic that we have seen, that can be seen in our book, um, the last part. So, um, what the SOCO stands for? SOCO is OCO. SOCO is it means scene of the crime operation. According to my book, to my research, that SOCO SOCO is under the crime laboratory, who is responsible of the method of investigation. So they are responsible for the method of investigation, and also they are under the crime laboratory. So Soco is also known as crime scene investigator, or CSIS. They work alongside with the police officer they help the police officers to solve the crime problems. So, what is the expertise of SOCO? So they are expert trained to take photograph of evidence and identify traces left at the crime scene. So they are expert when it comes to photography, and they are the one who is going to identify identify the evidences that is left at the crime scene. So, um, SOCO is responsible for they also gather forensic evidences. They preserve they preserve and gather and keep the evidence, because evidence is the most important. So they are going to preserve it, and then they gather also evidences. Then the next is, so um they also, as what I said, they locate possible evidences in the crime scene. They locate evidence and labeling it. So they preserve evidence, works on wide variety of the crimes. Then, so the mission of SOCO is that, uh I mean so so SOCO, their mission also includes, they monitor the the status of cases, which they refer to the technical division, for proper evaluation or examination. So it doesn't mean that the SOCO already got the evidence, they already collect evidence, doesn't mean that their job is over. So they should still work on it until the judgment. They should still work on it, until the case is being monitored. And then, so let's proceed. Crime scene. According to the book, crime scene is crime scene is an area or vicinity of occurrence of physical evidence. Um, so it means that crime scene. So this is an area where the crime had had happened, where the crime is happening, where they can locate the evidence, and where uh, is an area also that where they are going when they are go where they are going to photograph the evidences. So, what constitutes a crime scene? The crime scene can be understood to include all areas in which the criminal, any possible victim, and any eyewitnesses moved during the time the crime was committed. So, in some crimes, however, the crime scene may be actually compromised several different sites rather. So, yes, the crime could be happened anytime, anywhere. As what said in the book, different sites. So, crime scene investigation defined. It is the conduct of processes more particularly the conduct of processes more particularly the recognition, search, handling, preservation, and the documentation of physical evidence to include the evidence and to interview of witness and the arrest of suspect at the crime scene. So, crime scene investigation is that this is the time where they are going to preserve the documentation, where they are going to interview the witness, um that this i- this this is also the time that um they are going to arrest that suspect that committed the crime. So, first responder. Who is first responder? According to the book, first responder is any police officer who first arrive at the crime scene and shall endeavor to protect and secure the crime scene. The first responder must be able to properly preserve the crime scene in order to get maximum scientific information that will help in the successful prosecution of the perpetrator of the crime. So, who is the first responder? So, the first responder is any police officer that that first arrived, and then that officer is that his responsibility includes the to protect the crime scene, to protect the crime scene, to preserve the area. He must I mean um he must secure the area also. And then the first responder must do the following upon arrival at the crime scene. So this is the first responder do uh that will going to do when he arrive at the crime scene area. So first, cordon off the crime scene. So what do you mean? Cordon off the crime scene with whatever available materials like police line if available, or ropes, straw, or human parasites. So yes, this is the time that as soon as he possible arrive at the scene, he's going to secure the area. So if there is any materials like police line, he's going to put the police line at the crime scene. Or if there is no police line, that uh, either the roof or whatever thing that could secure the area. Second, evacuate injured person to the nearest hospital. So his job also is to evacuate the injured person when he to the nearest hospital. Then third, prepare to take the dying declaration of severely injured person, if any. So he must be prepared that the dying declaration if there is any person that died in that scene. So, fourth, prevent entry, prevent entry exit of persons within the cordoned area. So he must uh, prevent the entry and exit area of the crime scene. So lastly, so there are five. There are five. Uh, there are five things that the first responder must do, and then the last one is prepare to brief the investigator of the situation upon their arrival. So, he must going to brief. He must going to brief the investigator. He's going to so he's going to brief the investigator. As soon as the investigator came, he will going to inform or to give awareness to the investigator about the situation, about on what is happening, what's the beginning of that crime that had just happened. So next is crime scene analysis or crime scene response. So, we all know what is crime scene. So, crime scene analysis is much more than processing, searching, and documenting notes, photos, sketches, and certainly more than packaging, collecting, and tagging, preserving evidence. So, this is the process where the investigators or the Soco team is going to take notes. So it's going to take notes the important details for the documentation where they're going to make sketches, going to photograph to take pictures of the evidences. Then we are going to preserve the evidence as well. So crime scene analysis is a slow, methodological, systematic, and orderly process of collecting physical evidence based on proper recognition and collection to be processed in the laboratory by forensic examiner to uncover significant clues from them. So, it also includes the collecting physical evidence and that they're going to turn over it to the laboratory by forensic examiner to to discover the the significant no to discover what really happened or what's the causes of that scene or I mean oh then next crime laboratories do not solve crimes only as through and competent investigation conducted by professional police officer chances enhances chances for the successful outcome of a criminal investigation. Yes, crime laboratories does not solve crime problems, but they will only examine the uncovered significant but the only one who can solve the crime problems is the police officers who is going um, who has the chances to solve the crime problems. If the investigator cannot recognize or preserve physical evidence, no sophisticated machine in the laboratory or technical expertise can save the situation. It must be noted that in the crime scene, proper crime scene processing based on scientific method of investigation must be made for the identification and successful prosecution of the person responsible for the commission of the crime. So, the purpose of the investigation is that um, the possible the 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 possible the possible suspect of that crime is um, going to be responsible for his act. So the following are the list physical evidence which will most likely yield significant results upon the examination. So there are possible outcomes of the after the examination: blood, semen and saliva, liquid or dried, animal or human. Documents written and typed, paper, ink, indented writings, obliterations, and worn off or charged documents. Third, drugs. Fourth, explosive, any object that contain an explosive residue. Then fifth, hairs and fibers. Six, fingerprints, latent and visible. Seven, firearms and ammunition, if there are any. No, 8, glass particles or fragments that may have been transferred to a person or object involved in a crime. Then lastly, impressions, shoe prints, depressions in soils and other tracks, glove and fabric impression and bite marks. So, there are cases falling under the Soco category. There are six categories that includes in uh, that is part of the Soco category. There are more first murder, second homicide, third rape with homicide, um, fourth arson. We all know what's arson. Fifth robbery with homicide. Then F, other heinous sensational cases as directed by higher headquarters and other cases where Soco assistance is necessary. So by the way, ano, so there are there are nine there are nine procedure crimes in ano. So no. The composition of Soco team as is the Soco team is composed of team leader, driver evidence custodian, Soco specialists or technicians. So Soco specialists or technician include the health officer and crime photographer, then sketcher or measurer, then forensic chemical officer. So there are 24 basic Soco equipment or materials. These are police line, measuring device, ruler and measuring tape. Third, recording materials, sketching and paper pad, pencils or pentel pen with permanent ink marker and coupon band. Fourth is LR camera with film because it is important. Fifth, video camera. Six, tape recorder. Seven, evidence. Eight, compass. Nine, searchlight with battery charger. 10, evidence tag markers. First, 11, first aid kit. 12, paper bags, all sizes of paper bags. Then 13, stylus. Number 14, vernier caliper. So, based on my research, the stylus is a part of materials of the Soco. So, stylus is a pin. So, this is the stylus, and then next is so the vernier caliper is like this. So, this is the vernier caliper. And then 15, micrometer. 16, paraffin wax. 17, Soco forms and crime lab request form. 18, gloves. 19, gauze. 20, fingerprint card. 21, black and white lefting card. 22, eraser. 23, stapler with extra staple wire. 24, kit boards. So Soco tools and Soco equipments is different. So there are 22 Soco tools. So first, flashlight. We all know what's flashlight. Second, scissor. We know what scissor. Third rule, knife, heavy duty and folding. Yes, we know what's knife with heavy duty and folding. Four, rulers and measuring tapes. Fifth, adjustable wrench. Six, pliers. Seven, wire cutter. Eight, complete screwdriver set. Nine, saw. 10, hammer. 11, axe or hatchet. 12, shovel. 13 is fingerprint magnifier. Number 30, uh, fingerprint magnifier. So number 15 is fingerprint magnifier. So this is the fingerprint magnifier. This one. This is fingerprint magnifier. And then number 14, nylon brush. 15, magnet. 16, spatula. Based on my research, spatula is the uh, part of cooking utensils. Spatula. Oh yes, it is a part of cooking utensils. Number 17, box of plaster or of Paris forecasting or lifting. Number 18, goggles. 19, sitting screen. 20, funnel, different sizes. 21, scalpels. 22, ladder. So, preparation. So, during the preparation of the crime scene, there must be basic equipments: police line, marker, camera with film, evidence collection kit, video camera and tape recorder, measuring device, ruler, and any measuring tape, flashlight, hand gloves, mask, eye goggles, hairnet, recording materials, chalk, band, paper, pencil, clipboard, pencil, pens. Yes, the team or the investigator must wear gloves so that their fingerprint would not left prints at the evidences. Then next is approaching the. So this is the composition of Soco team, the Soco tools. So I've already read it. And then next is, so those tools and equipments that I've mentioned earlier, just this few seconds ago, has the purpose or it's very important during the investigation. So the next is the approaching the crime scene. So be alert. Be alert. Make pertinent notes as to possible any entry and exit points of the perpetrator. So the investigator must take notes where on what's the on what is the beginning of the crime that happened, the possible entry and exit of the perpetrator. So what's the purpose of perpetrator also? Crime scene investigation proper. There are 9 procedure in crime scene investigation. So these are the hmm? So there are one. So there are nine procedure of the crime scene investigation proper. So according to my research, that during an investigation, uh, the golden rule of uh, criminal investigation is that do not touch, alter, move, or transfer any object at the crime scene unless it is properly marked, measured, sketched, or photographed. Yes, the 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 team or the investigator must be very careful with their job. They should be double careful. they must make sure that they do not touch anything at the crime scene unless that that evidence or that thing is being recorded and is already photographed by the team. And then you must make sure that you wear gloves. So first, um, receipt of briefing and designation of command post. So, the team leader, upon arrival at the crime scene, receives the briefing from the first responder and shall immediately designate a command post. Yes, um, as soon as possible, the team leader has arrived. The first responder, the first responder is the one who gave information, um, who 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 briefed the team leader, and then as soon as fast as the team leader received the information and is being uh, given and is being aware about the situation, he will now go to his command post and to his designated area. So, command post. What is command post? Command post is an area which is ideally located adjacent to the crime scene where the CSI evidence custodian stays and receives the pieces of evidence turned over to him for keepsake by the evidence collector. So command post is an area. This is an area located at the crime scene. Next, B. Initiation of preliminary survey. What do you mean by initiation of preliminary survey? The team leader makes a general assessment of the scene, takes a cautious walkthrough of the crime scene, take down the extensive notes to document important factors and establish the evidence most likely to be encountered. Yes, this is the time that the team leader is going to walk around, make survey at the crime scene or at the area, and then for the important documentation. And then from his assessment, during his assessment, he developed a general theory of the crime scene. Number 3, preparation for narrative report. The team leader uses systematic approach in making a narrative report. Yes, the team leader is the one who is assigned to make a narrative report about the crime scene. Number 4, documentation of the crime scene. The photographer should be taking photographs as soon as possible. The taking of photographs of the crime scene must be general to specific areas. The evidence collector should not touch or move any evidence where it is originally located until it has been identified, photographed, sketched, measured, and recorded. So, the um the the photographer, as long as he arrived, he should be um as soon as he arrived, he should be take pictures of the evidence. He must make sure that he will not touch anything at the scene. Then, unless it is being sketched or recorded. Crime scene, safe crime scene sketches. A rough sketch should be prepared indicating the actual measurement of things, scale, and proportion observed and oriented to the North Pole. Necessary information should be placed in the sketch. Number 6, detailed search. Detailed search. The search for physical evidence must be done using the accepted methods of search depending upon the actual location to be searched. Number 7, collection of physical evidence. The competence recognize and properly collect physical evidence is critical to both solving and prosecuting crimes. The team leader should be informed always of the significant evidence located. It must be noted that the evidence collector should put his initial location, any date of collection, and on the item and turn it over to the evidence custodian for documentation and safekeeping. Yes. Um, so as when there is evidence that is being found, the the team leader must be informed about that evidence, and then the the collector the collector of the evidence should put his initial and then the location and then the date of that um, item, and then he is going to turn over it um, to the evidence custodian for the safekeeping. So the evidence custodian is responsible for the safekeeping of the evidence. They are the one who is going to keep the evidence. H. Um, 8. 8. Conduct a final survey. So the team leader shall make a final review of the crime scene to determine whether or not the processing has been completed. Yes, um, the team leader must review the crime scene, or must review the process so that it he's going to check it whether it is um completed not or yet or not. So lastly, release of the crime scene. The release of the crime scene shall be done if the investigator is satisfied that all pieces of evidence have been recovered. Hence, the investigator must evaluate the items recovered from the results of interrogation of the suspect and the interview of the witnesses. It must be noted it must be noted that upon formal release of the crime scene to the proper authority, a warrant is already required for his entry to the crime scene. So, as this is the process where um as long as the investigator is satisfied with his uh, satisfied that all the evidences that is being collect is enough. And then crime scene photography. So, crime scene photography. The purpose of taking photographs of the crime scene is to create an accurate, objective visual record of the crime scene before any physical evidence is moved or removed from its original location. Yes. So its purpose. So everything has a purpose. So even the crime scene photography has a purpose. It is the most crucial part of the process. So its purpose is that it will give an accurate evidence that will serve as the record, and then guidelines for taking photograph of the crime scene. During the conduct of the crime scene operation, it is basic that the photograph of a crime scene should be taken as soon as possible before the start of note taking, sketching, and searching for physical evidence. Yes. So the process of the investigation is that it must be first being photographed. Second, the start of note taking or sketching, and then lastly, the searching for physical evidence. So all the crime scene must be taken photograph first. It must be noted that the photograph should be illustrate the original and contaminated condition of the crime scene. Photographs should be taken of the crime scene only. No investigator or any police personnel should be photographed of the crime scene. The photographs must form an organized sequence and show all relevant location and objects. Yes, during the photography, during the picture taking of the crime scene or the evidence, um, it must be sure that uh, there are no there are no police officer or investigator that is being uh, that is being captured captured during the photography. Then the crime scene photographs must progress from general to specific. So crime scene sketches. So sketches has played a very crucial role in the crime scene. The sketches. Sketches are useful questioning the suspect and witness as well as in writing the investigative report. A rough sketch must be made indicating the actual measurement of things with scale and proper proportion observed and oriented to the North Pole. All necessary information must be placed in the sketch. The sketches are excellent companions to photograph, where photographs provide exact details. Sketches give accurate information about the placement of object and they show relationship and distance between things. Yes, so photograph provide exact details about and give accurate information about the crime scene. So note taking must be constant activity throughout the processing of the crime scene. So in the note taking, the notes must include a detailed written description of the crime scene with location of physical evidence received. Then the time when the physical evidence was discovered. It also includes the person who discovered and collect that kind of evidence. Fourth, how the evidence was packaged and marked. Fifth, the disposition of the item when it was being collected. Next is documentation. Documentation is made by the crime scene investigator for purposes of future crime scene reconstruction, which will help the prosecutor and the judge understand the conditions of the crime scene. So, what is reconstruction? So, the reconstruction is the act of reconstructing, rebuilding, or reassembling or the state of being reconstructed or the process by which the states that had succeeded were reorganized as part of the Union Civil. So, so the documentation has played also a a big part of the scene because documentation serve as the uh, purposes of the if ever the crime if ever the crime if ever the case is being reconstructed, then it will serve as the uh, legal basis legal basis that will help the prosecutor and the judge understand the documentation, understand the conditions rather of the crime scene. So crime scene search. The search for physical evidence is done using the accepted methods of search depending upon the actual location to be searched. So, the crime scene search is done using, the investigator used such method during the investigation. So, the crime scene search could only be started after the crime has been photographed and sketched. So, as what I said earlier, that the the search must be done after the evidence is being photographed or sketched. The primary duty of the Soco team leader upon arrival at the crime scene is to make proper coordination with the investigator on case of the office or the officer in charge. Yes, he will going that the team lead the Soco of the leader of the Soco um must make proper is going to coordinate with the investigator. The purpose of coordination is to secure the approval of the investigator before the Soco assumes control of the crime scene. Yes, its purpose is that to secure the approval of the investigator. The team may proceed with the processing after conducting the general survey and after establishing a common approach patch. As every crime scene is unique, the employment of each method of search depends on the physical nature of the scene and the kind of offense involved. Each approach varies as the situation dictates for purposes of the scene of crime operation of crime scene processing. Yes, there are five search methods. So these are the five types of search method is first quadrant or zone search method. Second, strip or line search method. Third, spiral search method. Fourth, grid or double strip search method. Fifth, wheel search method. So the quadrant or zone search method looks like this. This one. And then the next is strip or line like this, and then the third one, the spiral search method like this. Yes, it's spiral. And then the fourth is grid or double strip search method. And then the last one is this one, the wheel search method. So each search method has a purpose. The zone search method. So in the zone search method, there is only one searcher. Searcher is assigned to a quadrant. Then the quadrant is being cut into another. The other quadrant is being cut into another set of quadrant. This. So this is the where the um this is the quadrant of the only one searcher, and then this is the the quadrant that is being cut. It is being divided into four. So and the strip line or search method. In this method, the area is blocked out in the form of a rectangle. The searcher proceeds slowly at the same pace along with parallel to one side of the rectangle. When a piece of evidence is found, the finder announces his discovery and the search must stop until the evidence has been cared for. A photographer is called if necessary. The evidence is collected and tagged and the search proceeds at given signal. At the end of rectangle, the searcher turns and proceeds along new lanes as shown in the above illustration. Yes. So, during this search, in this search method, the searcher will only stop finding the evidence until he find the evidence. So, the announcer announce the evidence that is being found, and then if possible, if possible, the photographer must be called. And then next is spiral method. In this search method, the searchers follow each other along the path of a spiral, beginning on the outside and spiral in towards the center. So in this method, the searcher follow each other. They follow each other, and then from the beginning until the end, they follow each other until they found the evidence. Then the grid or double strip search method. The grid or double strip method as of search is a modification of strip search method. Here the rectangle is traversed most parallel to the base, then parallel to the side. Lastly, wheel search method. The area is considered to be approximately circular. Yes, the searchers gather at the center and proceed outward along radii or spokes. The procedure should be repeated several times depending on the size of the circle and the number of searchers. Yes, the searchers gather at the center and then they proceed along the radii. So uh, they they repeat it several times. And then last is the purpose of the crime scene. Crime scene search. So typically to systematically look for physical evidence that may prove useful in establishing that a crime has been committed. So its purpose also is that uh, they look for physical evidence that may help solve the crime or identify um, that or help identify that the crime had really happened. Number Letter B, to determine what method of operation the perpetrator may have used. So it is second purpose to identify uh, kung on what method did the perpetrator use in order to commit the crime. And so that's the purpose of the crime scene search. So that's all and thank you.